I don't even remember what started the conversation, but it ended up with her issuing the challenge. Can I fill an entire album with layouts made only from scraps? For this next layout, I found photos and scrap paper, and I want to try some mixed media techniques. Creative Memories has started to release a few inks and brushes and things to add mixed media to the equation. Among them have been these Memento Dewdrop inks, which I've been a fan of for years. Here are two that they released. This one is called Potter's Clay, and this one is called Dandelion. And as you can see, I haven't even opened them yet. But I didn't open Potter's Clay because I already had one. But I am going to use the Dandelion because I have yellow in my pattern paper. This is a fun technique. I really, really enjoyed doing this. And I'm going to put aside my paper and photos out of the way because we're about to get wet. And the things you want to have on hand will be your inks, some water, some piece of plastic, and this is it says NSD Lemons Notepad 2-pack. So a piece of plastic that you can ball up. Your Creative Memories craft mat. And I love this craft mat. I have a different brand. I like this one much better. The size is perfect. And so the most important thing to know when using the Creative Memories craft mat is the words need to be face down. So your working surface is not the surface with the title. Your working surface is with the Creative Memories words facing the table. And finally, one of the most important items you need is something to wipe your hands with, a tissue, to keep your surface clear. Okay? Inks, water, dry tissue, smooshing device, and a refill page. This is from a top loading page. Now, I don't want to use my mat, but I want to put some smooshing inks about uh, 3 inches from the top and 3 inches from the bottom. I'm going to eyeball it. Most common wisdom says you start with your lighter color and then use your darker colors as you go. However, for this case, I'm actually going to start with my darker color and then use my lighter color. And my reason is I want the darker color to show the most and then my lighter color to fill in. Now, the technique is really simple. You don't necessarily have to have one of those little spritzers. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ink pad and I'm going to blot some ink right onto this craft mat. Oh, that's nice, beautiful. But then I'm going to take my water, just a capful. So I'm going to pull it in, put it into my cap, and not even a full cap, that's too much. Put about a little bit in my cap, and I'm going to pour a little water. See? 2 or 3 little drops of water on my page. I'm going to take my crumpled plastic, dip it in the water first, and then dip it in the ink. And now I have ink on my little plastic, and I'm going to blot my ink. Now, you don't want too big of a blot on your paper, but isn't that just so pretty? And so I feel as though the coverage I'm going to get, I'll need more ink. Now I'll do the same on this side. If it feels like the water is too heavy, just dab your plastic back into it again and pull up some of that water and redistribute it. And so I am now satisfied with my coverage of the orange. I'm going to clean my craft mat and prepare for yellow. I'm back now ready to use my dandelion. I did clean my mat, which I highly recommend, and it doesn't hurt either to maybe put a little dab of soap. I'm going to put a couple of drops of water on the mat. Now, if you had a spritzer, you could spritz right onto your ink. And this is hard to see, but I can see it. It may not show up on camera. But I'm putting a dab of the water on my plastic, and now I'm dabbing my ink into the plastic, and let's see what we get. Oh, I like that. So that is lovely. There is no special technique for this. It's do whatever you like. It'll be very hard to do it wrong. And the definition of wrong is that you don't like it. If you feel intimidated by doing this technique for the first time, you can try it on scrap paper. And so what I have made is my own custom pattern paper. I could fill the whole page if I chose. Now let's clean up. And clean up means cleaning your whole mat. So you're going to lift up the yellow, but try to make sure you have completely gotten all of it. So that on your next project, you're not picking up a color you don't want. Okay, I'm going to put my inks away. This needs next to no time to dry. These inks dry quickly, even with the water added. Now, once you get them wet, it does have a mild change to the texture of the paper. You can see on the back, but that is not going to show once it gets into your album. Of course, these are archival safe inks because Creative Memories would not sell it otherwise. So you can feel comfortable with these inks. So I'm going to give this a few minutes to dry. Feels dry already. And by doing that, I'm just going to put my tools away. And by the time I put my inks away, my pad away, I'll make sure I go wash my hands with soap. This should be ready for the next part of the layout. And now I'm back. I brought back my pattern papers and my photos. And as you can see, because we did get some dampness on our paper, it isn't laying flat, but once you get it into your album and close the album, the paper will flatten out. So the rest of this layout is going to be quick and simple. I'm going to cut these prints to give them a border. Okay, I like this arrangement of photos. So I'm going to adhere this piece, which I think might be Serene Waters. I can't remember where these collections come from. When I have scraps, unless they're Christmas, I don't tend to keep my scraps with their original collection. Um, I think it's lovely. I think the yellow does well. The potter's clay is doesn't clash. It's not the best match, but it doesn't clash. I'm going to start with this photo. Now these were printed to be about 2.5 uh, by 3-ish. Yeah, the photo itself is about 2.5 by 3. This is my new zero centering ruler. Here's 0 in the middle, but it also measures from 1 to 12 or 0 to 12. It fits over my 13 by 13 inch mat and slides, so it's always relatively in the same place. It has a 0 right here in the middle, and I can use that to center my photo on my page. This has been such a blessing. There. That looks to be the same distance this way and that way. So since I have it down, I can also use it to gauge my distance here. That really helps. Now you have to make sure your paper is straight on your board, but that's doable. And now I want to take this and cut it in half and make a band here and here. But you know me, you know I'm not just going to cut a straight line, don't you? So I bet you can say, the question isn't, will she use one of those curvy templates, but which one will she use? And I've decided that I want the curve. That's the name of the one shaped like this. The other one here is called the ripple. And I have what do I have? I have a 3-inch strip of paper. I will take my curve measuring template. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to get the red line, because I only use the red blade because it's simpler. I like simplicity. Let's put this down straight. I'm going to put the red line at roughly the halfway point and say, okay, is that where I want my line to be? And actually, no, I want my line to be over a little more. So I'm looking through this clear plastic and I'm saying, okay, I think this is where I want my red line to cut. So the red line is where I want it to cut. So now I have my paper where I want it. Paper tends to stick to the plastic, but don't worry. I'm going to put my template up against the black line here. And I'm going to look at where my outer edge of the template hits on my gray mat. So it hits about the 8 1/8 inch mark. My paper is starting at the 6-inch line. The end of the template is at 8 1/8, and that gives me a red cutting line where I want it to be. So now I can, very importantly, pick up my sizing template, but because I know where everything was, I can just put it right back and line up this edge at 8 1/8 and get out my dedicated red blade. Make sure that they're firmly in the track so they don't slide. Now, a tip that I have about cutting is I don't try to start at the edge and cut down. I start a little below the edge and cut up and down. That prevents a bunching of the paper at the top here. So a little below, up and down. And I'm giving on my left hand some firm pressure. And that is lovely. I love these things. So how do I want them to go? I want this one here and that one there. But you know what? I want to ink my edges. I've been putting all this ink on here. I want more ink. I'm pulling out rich cocoa. And I'm really happy with this. I just need to come up with a title and maybe an embellishment cluster here and here, because I'm a diagonal kind of person. I'm not a visual triangle, even though I could put something up in this corner, a title here, and an embellishment cluster here. Let me go see what I can find, especially using scraps. Okay, I'm back and I found a variety mat card that I think I can use to be a title. And I used my largest of the set of circle templates, but I think I want a mat around it. And so I found this orange scrap, and I'm going to use my red blade. I used my green blade to cut that out. I was going to try to use my blue blade, but it cut off some of the letters. So I used the green blade. I was going to cut off the letters. I tested it by putting in the blade and then kind of gently rolling it around the track and looking to see where the blade was touching, and it was going to cut off the T and the E. So I went to the green blade and everything cut out well. So I would spin it around like this. And so now I want a mat for that. And there we go. Okay, I think I want this down here because honestly, I didn't like the little tree branches showing. So that solves that problem. So now I have a title on my page. I found some stickers that I liked. I like that sticker right there. So when I'm not sure where I want a sticker to go, I will remove the sticky with the powder tool and move it around until I'm ready to place it on there. And then I'll just use adhesive again. Well, I finished. I found some stickers I pulled from Feeling Groovy and Feeling Bright. So I was full of feelings this morning. And I'm really pleased with how this only scraps layout happened. I loved making the smooshing technique. That was so much fun. I just cut in half this little 3-inch strip of yellow that was in here, and then I used this 6-inch strip of orange, and I got 6 photos on my layout. And I hope you enjoyed watching all of this, and if so, YouTube says there is another video right here that you would like. Please watch it now.